All right, let's dive in. We're going to talk about something called Material Requirements Planning, or MRP. And I know it sounds super technical, maybe even a little boring, but trust me on this. This is the secret operating system for how literally everything gets made. Forget the textbook definitions. By the time we're done here, you're going to see this as your new workplace superpower. Seriously, let's do it.
So, to really get a grip on how powerful MRP is, let's just think about something we all have: the iPhone. It feels so simple in your hand, right? But putting one together is like solving a massive global puzzle worth billions of dollars. Every single piece has to click into place perfectly, not just physically, but on the calendar. Let me show you what I mean.
First up, that beautiful touchscreen. That doesn't come from an Apple factory. Nope, it's made by Samsung, all the way over in South Korea. That's one huge piece of our puzzle, from one corner of the globe.
Okay, what about those amazing cameras? You know, the ones we all use. They're built with incredible precision by a company called Genius Electronic Optical in Taiwan. So that's another critical piece, from another country, with another company we have to coordinate with.
And the memory, the stuff that holds all your photos and apps, well, that comes from two different companies, Toshiba in Japan and SK Hynix back in South Korea. You can see how this is getting complicated fast.
And to get that blazing fast 5G connection, you need a really specialized chipset for the radio frequency. That comes from Qualcomm, right here in the USA. The puzzle pieces are literally flying in from all over the planet.
And that's just scratching the surface. We're talking about hundreds of unique parts, coming from dozens of suppliers scattered across the globe, and they all have to end up at one single assembly factory in China, at exactly the right moment. The amount of coordination is just mind-boggling.
So what's the big deal? Here's the billion-dollar question. What happens if just one of those parts is late? Just one. The whole assembly line, it just stops, dead. You're talking millions of dollars lost every single hour. That is the chaos, and that is the problem that MRP was born to solve. So how in the world do you conduct this global symphony of parts and suppliers without it all falling apart? Well, it all starts with the master plan. We call it the master production schedule. This is where a company's big, fuzzy goals get translated into a rock-solid, week-by-week action plan. Now take a look at this, because this is super important. A company doesn't just say, hey, let's make some mattresses. They need a super precise plan. That aggregate plan up top, that's the 30,000-foot view. But the master production schedule down below, that's where the rubber meets the road. It's the difference between wishing for something and actually having a plan to do it. And this right here shows you that difference perfectly. Make 950 mattresses in month 2. I mean, what does a factory manager even do with that? It's way too vague. But make 150 of model 538 in week 5. Now that is an order. That's a clear, actionable instruction that a real person on the factory floor can actually execute. Okay, but we all know plans change, right? Customers change their minds, things happen. So what do? That's where something called time fences comes in. Think of them as the rules of engagement for making changes. In the frozen zone, that plan is locked in, set in stone. In the slushy zone, you can kind of make changes, but it's going to be messy. And in the liquid zone, way out in the future, the plan is totally flexible.
So here it is, your first huge workplace win. Picture this. Your boss runs over and says, hey, can we change this customer order? Instead of just guessing, you'll know exactly what to say. You just look at the time fence. If it's in the frozen zone, you can say with total confidence, nope, sorry, we absolutely cannot change this. The parts are already in motion. If it's slushy, you can be the smart one who says, look, it's possible, but it's going to be tough and it's going to cost us. And if it's in the liquid zone, bam, you're the hero. Yep, no problem, we can easily make that change to the plan.
Okay, so we've got our master plan. We know what we're making and when. Now we need the recipe. In our world, that's called the bill of materials, or the BOM for short. It's just a detailed list of every single ingredient you need and exactly how they all fit together. This is what a BOM looks like. When you draw it out, it's called a product structure tree, and it's really just a simple family tree for your product. It shows that to build one of your final products, this item A at the top, you need exactly 2 of item B and 3 of item C. And then it keeps going, breaking down what B and C are made of, all the way down to the nuts and bolts. Now, this leads to a really cool idea called the demand explosion.
The need for that one final product creates what we call dependent demand for everything underneath it. So, if your master schedule says we need just one of item A, the system automatically explodes that single need down the tree. And all of a sudden, you don't just need one thing, you need 2 Bs, 3 Cs, 8 Es, and 15 Gs. It's like one order just blew up into a giant shopping list.
And boom, here's your next workplace win. Your boss comes to you and says, hey, that big customer just doubled their order. Or engineering just decided to swap out a part. Instead of panicking, you can use the bomb to instantly trace that explosion and tell everyone exactly what needs to happen. Okay, that means we need to order 16 more of part E and 30 more of part G, and we need to do it right now. You'll look like a genius.
So we have the master schedule, what to build and when. We have the bill of materials, the recipe. Now we get to the actual engine of MRP. And the secret, the core logic, is surprisingly simple. It's all about working backwards in time. I know. When you first see a diagram of the whole MRP system, it looks incredibly complicated. It's a mess of boxes and arrows. But I promise you, all of this complexity really just boils down to the system asking 3 very, very simple questions. Here they are. That's the whole thing. Question 1, what are we building? The system looks at the master production schedule. Question 2, what's it made of? It just checks the bill of materials. And question 3, what do we already have on the shelf? It looks at the inventory records. That is it. The entire powerful system is just a computer program that asks these 3 questions over and over and over again. And this simple logic gives you what might be your most valuable workplace skill. You know that if you need part B ready for the assembly line in week 8, and you know it takes 2 weeks to get it, well, you have to place that order back in week 6. It's simple backwards math. And by understanding this, you can look at any due date and tell the purchasing team the exact moment they need to place an order so it arrives just in time, not too early and definitely not too late.
So, let's just pull this all together. When you understand the master schedule, the bill of materials, and that simple time-shifting logic of MRP, you get a whole new way of seeing the world. You don't just see a finished product anymore. You see the entire invisible system that had to work perfectly to bring it to life.
With this knowledge, you can basically see the future. You can look at a production plan and spot a potential parts shortage weeks before it can shut down the factory. You can be the one who raises the alarm while there's still plenty of time to fix it.
And you can look a customer in the eye, or at least your sales team, and give them a delivery date that isn't just a wild guess. It's a promise based on a real, logical plan. You become the source of truth, building trust and making your company reliable. Look, at the end of the day, some people might tell you that MRP is just a glorified system for making a shopping list. But they are missing the bigger picture entirely. When you master these tools, you're not just preparing a list. You're the conductor of a global orchestra of people, machines, and materials. You are turning dirt and metal into technology that changes lives. You're not just making lists, you are building the world.